My number one is get up at the same time every single day. Um, Now, the reason that's important is that our circadian rhythm, our internal body clock, which is within every cell in our body and sets the timer on when all our hormones are released and how our sleep functions and how much of different types of sleep we have overnight so that it exactly fits what your body needs, can't shift more than half an hour uh, per night. And so if you're going to bed, for example, 2 hours later than you normally do and sleeping in 2 hours later, all the hormones that are released are happening at just the wrong time. And if they happen at the wrong time during your cycle, they don't have as many benefits. Also, if you're someone who's a poor sleeper, having the support of your kind of regular circadian rhythm can be really helpful. And if you've had a really rubbish night's sleep and you still get up at the same time, what it will mean is you're feeling a little bit more sleepy, a little bit more sleep pressure when you go to sleep at night. And hopefully that will kind of help you feel sleepy enough to sleep through the night without too many interruptions. So that's the most important one in my view. Get up at the same time and ideally go to bed at the same time. And I'm not a complete party pooper. If you want to go out and have a good night out, that's fine, but don't do it too often. And often a sort of sneaky nap before sleep loss can be quite good. So go to bed for an hour, have a nap, and then go out so that you can still set your alarm for the same time each day. And even though it kind of feels natural, I'll sleep in a little bit more at the weekends, I'll feel great. Overall, actually, you will feel much better in yourself if you wake up at the same time every day. Maybe an extra half an hour at the weekends if you need it, but actually sticking to the same time is really important, because when we're in sync with our body clocks, we feel our best. It's really interesting that there's lots of experiments where people go and lock themselves in caves to try and synchronize themselves with their body clock. And this originally sort of happened. There was a French man who did 60 days back in, I think, 62, and his sleep was perfect because he was completely in sync. And there was one recently who I think was 600 days, so completely missed COVID. And she didn't want to come out of the cave because she felt so good. We feel at our best when we're absolutely in sync with our bodies. And so when we're trying to kind of shift from kind of different time zones, as anyone who's ever kind of done a long haul flight, you feel rubbish. And what you're doing when you're sort of sleeping in for extra 2 hours and then trying to shift back a couple of days later is you're kind of pushing your body into that jet lag state, and it doesn't feel good. So my next one will be exercise. Exercise is great for sleep. Anyone who's kind of run a marathon or even kind of spent the day at the beach or whatever, it is really good at increasing your deep sleep and helping you get to sleep faster. But it doesn't need to be a marathon. It doesn't need to be strenuous exercise. Actually, the most important thing is consistency. So doing a little bit every day, whether that's a walk or a stretch or yoga or whatever you want to do, but doing it every day has a really positive impact on your sleep. The third one I would say is having a bedtime routine. We do it for our kids, but actually, because we know that it works, you dim the lights, you do the hot bath, you do the story, and it works really well for children. But actually, it also works really well for adults. And it's all about, as you say, Sam, that kind of winding down of your sympathetic nervous system, switching into the parasympathetic state. Our bodies love routine. And so if you sort of set an alarm on your clock for this is when I'm going to begin my wind down routine, you then find the things that you like doing and include those. Maybe have sort of a ritual. You sit in your favorite chair, you read a book, you put your blanket on in your PJs, whatever it is. And so you're preparing your body for sleep. That can really help. And then I think number 4 would be alcohol. I'm going to sound like a complete party pooper in all senses, but actually alcohol is really detrimental to your sleep. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, it makes your sleep more broken. So you're much more likely to wake up lots of times during the night, but also you find that you don't get into the same sort of sleep cycles, and you have less refreshing sleep. And even though it does work as a sedative, and anyone who's had too many gin and tonics knows you feel very sleepy and you might sort of pass out, whatever it is. And it has a sedative effect in the early parts. Over the rest of the night, actually, it reduces your sleep quality. And the other thing it does, which is very important, is it suppresses your dreams. So you get much less dream sleep. And dream sleep is really important for our sort of creative thinking. It's when all the parts of our brain are linked together. It's also when we store our memories and separate the kind of memory part with the emotion. So, for example, if you step out in the road and get hit by a car, you'll be able to learn from the experience and know that it's not good to step out in the road without looking. But the kind of physical pain of the impact is then separated from the memory, so that when you think back on that, you're able to learn from it without the kind of painful recollections. And when that part doesn't work so well, you're more prone to things like post-traumatic stress, but also anxiety, depression, other things. So dream sleep is really important for our emotional well-being.